Okay, let's get real here. Emotional eating is something I've struggled with too. I remember coming home after a long, stressful day and heading straight for the snacks. Not because I was hungry, but because I was overwhelmed and upset. Now, can you relate? Emotional eating feels comforting in that moment, but often leaves us feeling worse afterwards. It's not just about food, it's about how we cope with life's stresses, emotions, and boredom. In this video, I'll share my journey of breaking the emotional eating cycle and give you practical, personal strategies that worked for me. You'll learn to identify your triggers, replace unhealthy habits, and build a healthier relationship with food. Let's do this together. Now, why does emotional eating happen? Emotional eating is not about willpower. It's about how we're wired to seek comfort. Now, for me, it was triggered by stress, even boredom. I'd find myself reaching for cookies or chips as a way to distract myself from what I was feeling. Now, here's why this happens. Number one, stress and cortisol. Now, when we're stressed, our body releases cortisol. So this is a hormone that makes us crave comfort foods. Think sugar, carbs, and salty snacks. Number two, those habits formed over time. I realized that I'd conditioned myself to turn to food during tough times. For example, a long time ago, I'd reward myself with dessert after a hard day. I'd say, oh, I deserve this. But it became a routine. See, that's the problem. Number three, emotional void. Emotional eating can also come from boredom or loneliness. It fills a gap, even if just temporarily. You know what helped me? I started keeping track of what I ate and how I felt. I started using an app called FitnessPal, and this was mainly to track what I was putting into my body, and I didn't realize how much bad fats, sugar, and carbs I was consuming in a day. It was terrible. And that opened my eyes to a whole new perspective. I noticed the days and times when I was doing this. And those were the times when I felt I was in what I believed I needed it. Now, this simple act of tracking things down opened my eyes to patterns like how I'd snack and eat when I felt anxious. Awareness is the first step to change. Now, let's go to the steps. Step one, replace emotional eating with healthy coping strategies. This was a game changer for me. Instead of turning to food, I started experimenting with other ways to cope. Here's what worked for me. Number one, I created a go to list of activities. I made a list of things I enjoyed that didn't have to do with food. I started listening to music, taking a walk, gardening, or even just organizing my space and decluttering everywhere, the pantry, my dresser, anything. One time, I felt the urge to grab ice cream, but instead, I went to the kitchen pantry and started organizing and clearing up junk. I started thinking to myself why I was feeling so stressed. So, that simple shift helped me process my emotions instead of numbing them. Number two, use the pause and reflect technique. Before eating, I'd pause and ask, am I truly hungry or am I just trying to distract myself? Nine times out of 10, it wasn't hunger, it was just stress. Pausing gave me the space to choose a healthier response. Number three, stay busy. I started taking short walks whenever I felt an emotional craving hit. Even just going around the house, going outside and taking a fresh breath of air. Moving my body shifted my focus and helped me feel better without food. Are these tips resonating with you yet? If so, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more personal strategies to build healthier habits and break free from emotional eating. Now let's keep going. I have more to share. Step two, plan ahead and stock healthy options. One of the biggest lessons I learned was that emotional eating thrives on impulse. If I had unhealthy snacks lying around, I'd grab them without even thinking. Here's how I set myself up for success. Number one, I stocked on healthy alternatives. I replaced chips and cookies with things like nuts, baby carrots, those baby cucumbers, popcorn with no butter, and dark chocolate. Even dark chocolate, I can't even handle it sometimes because for me it's too sweet. I have a hard time eating it because I can't eat a lot of sweet stuff. So, having those on hand made it easier to choose better options when cravings hit. Number two, prep meals ahead. I started meal prepping on Sundays. But you know what? Meal preps can be done any time of the week. Like if you happen to cook a big pot of soup or chili, during the week because you had friends coming or family coming over and visit, put those leftovers in a serving size containers. So, when you eat the next time, you are prepared to eat only the serving size and not no more than that, which leads to more food intake. Knowing my meals were ready reduced decision fatigue and kept me from grabbing fast food. Yeah, I used to love fast food. Oh, number three, out of sight, out of mind. I stopped buying junk food altogether. If it wasn't in the house or anywhere I was working, I couldn't eat it. There was a time I kept my favorite chocolate stash in my office drawer. Now I swapped it out for mixed nuts and dried fruits, and over time, I didn't even miss candy. It's amazing how small changes add up. Number three, practice mindful eating. Mindful eating was a completely new concept for me, but it made such a difference. Here's how I practiced it. Number one, turn off distractions. I stopped eating in front of TV or with my phone on. I used to eat in front of TV because I thought that watching TV while my feet were up and I was so relaxed after days of work. But what I didn't realize was when I was watching TV, when I watched something so exciting and suspenseful, I was eating faster than I should. When it gets so exciting, exciting, you're like, I started to think that I only had a little to eat. So I would go back to the kitchen and get more food and fill up my plate again. And go back to the TV and sit in front of a TV and eat fast again. This is the fastest way to gain weight, I tell you. Now, I sit at the dining table and focus on my meal and put my phone down. Number two, savor each bite. I started noticing the texture, the flavor, and smell of my food. And this is why I also love preparing my foods with little to no salt. Like in my salads, I rarely put any kind of dressing. I use lemon and extra virgin olive oil. I can taste everything. the different types of mixed greens, the tangy lemon, and the earthy olive oil. So it sounds simple, but it made eating more enjoyable and helped me recognize when I was so full. Yeah, a salad makes me so full. Number three, I listen to my body. I used to eat until I felt so stuffed. Now I stop when I'm satisfied, not overly full. Now here's my tip. You need to try this. Take one bite of your favorite food and spend 30 seconds savoring it. You'll be amazed at how satisfying just one bite can be when you're truly present. And here's a bonus, be kind to yourself. Let's face it, breaking free from emotional eating isn't a straight path. I've had moments where I gave in to cravings, and that's okay. What I learned though was to stop beating myself up. Instead of saying, I failed again, I started saying, what can I learn from this? Every step, even the messy ones, is part of the journey. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. We always have to celebrate every small win along the way. Keep that in mind. Overcoming emotional eating is about understanding yourself, preparing ahead, and being patient. Always start with one small challenge, whether it's journaling, keeping track of what you're doing, stocking healthy snacks, or practicing mindful eating. If this video resonated with you, give it a thumbs up, share it to others who can learn, and subscribe if you haven't yet for more personal tips on living a healthier and more balanced life. And you know what? If you have any comments about this topic, please feel free to share them below. It will help me understand more about how to improve my channel or contribute to help you get started with your journey. Don't miss my next video about 5 simple tips to reduce sugar cravings, where I share more ways to improve your relationship with food.